When you start to wake up, you pull back. Not because you hate people, not because you're bitter, but because what everybody else calls connection starts feeling like static on a busted radio. Small talk, status updates, endless complaining about the same jobs, the same bills, the same problems they never fix. You can't fake interest in that anymore. It's not that you've changed overnight. It's that you see through it now. And once you see the script, it's hard to keep playing the role. You start noticing the performance, the way people laugh a little too loud, the way they say things just to be liked, the way silence makes them twitch. And without making a scene, you quietly step back. They'll still wave, still offer you the "how you been" in passing. But you feel it. The connection's gone because it was never real in the first place. You didn't cut ties. You didn't burn bridges. You just stopped pretending. And when you stop pretending, distance happens all by itself. That's not loneliness. That's clarity. It's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And in that space, you start to see what really holds people together. Not truth, not depth, just habit, shared illusions, comfortable lies. People bond over complaining, over chasing likes, over defending beliefs they never bothered to question. You used to call that friendship. Now, it just feels like background noise. You start seeing how much of life is propped up on validation, on agreement, on reassurance. Whole relationships survive not because of honesty, but because everyone agrees to keep the story going. But you don't play that game anymore, so the story ends. From the outside, you still look the same. You're polite. You show up. You haven't disappeared. But inside, something fundamental has shifted, and they can feel it, even if they can't name it. You're no longer performing. You're not begging for approval. You're not chasing applause. Some people find it inspiring. Others find it threatening, because suddenly you're not easy to read. And what people can't read, they call distant, arrogant, or cold. What they really mean is, you no longer reflect their illusions back to them. You stop playing mirror for their comfort. Now you reflect something else. See, you haven't withdrawn out of resentment. You've just stopped investing in fake connections. You won't shrink yourself to keep the peace. You won't nod along to conversations that never touch the truth. And the funny thing, that makes people more uncomfortable than outright conflict ever did. Because you didn't attack them. You just stopped feeding the system. And without your energy, the whole setup collapses. Friendships fade. Calls slow down. Conversations get awkward. Not because you did something wrong, but because you stopped playing along. And here's where it gets real. The quieter your life gets, the freer you become. You stop needing constant company, constant noise, constant recognition. You learn to sit in silence without flinching. What others call loneliness, you start recognizing as peace. People mistake that peace for arrogance, for judgment, for withdrawal. But really, it's none of those. It's just you're no longer managing their perception. And once you see how much of connection is actually performance, you realize you were never really connected in the first place. You were just agreeing to keep the illusion alive. You stopped, so it ended. Does it sting sometimes? Yeah. Do you miss certain people? Of course. But you'd rather walk alone in truth than drown in company built on lies. Because solitude isn't punishment. It's training. It strips away the noise so you can see yourself clearly. And once you've tasted that clarity, there's no going back. So yes, you walk alone, but not as an outsider. You walk as someone at peace with the cost of seeing clearly. And in a world that's still dreaming, that's the only way forward. Stay free.